We have in the studio Kairos Dela Cruz of the Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities. Good morning and welcome to Solar Daybreak.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So let's first talk about the People's Survival Fund. ICTS led the campaign to establish this fund, but what happened to it? We understand that it's supposed to be 1 billion, but you only have like $500 million of unprogrammed funds. So
yeah, let's put this into context.
Okay.
The People's Survival Fund was I think is still the record holder in terms of the fastest environment-related bill ever passed in the legislature. Mm-hmm. It remains to be unprogrammed, I think simply because it got passed too fast, and the bureaucracy it's a relatively new fund for the Philippines. Actually, we're pioneering this in the whole Southeast Asia, if not the whole ASEAN. So.
What is this fund? Can you explain to it? It's supposed to come up with policies and programs specifically to mitigate disasters. Is this what it's supposed to be doing?
The People's Survival Fund is not a reactionary fund.
Okay.
It anticipates vulnerabilities and empowers local government units and even community organizations by funding small incremental funds apart from the internal revenue allocation, the annual budget of the whole LGU. So it anticipates these vulnerabilities. It includes them in the crafting of the local development plan. Mm-hmm. It's not a super fund. No? It's less controversial. It's just $1 billion every year. Mm. But if you're able to operationalize this in the whole context, maybe we'll be not needing 15 billion calamity fund year after year. Perhaps 1 billion will be more than enough to make.
Because you'll be preventing.
With the localities will be in a way more resilient to disasters. Not only disasters, but also when it comes to slow onset impacts, like slow onset impacts or long-term events that will not necessarily result to a disaster.
Okay.
Small increases in temperature. Baka magulat tayo yung bigas na tinatanim ng Bulacan, hindi na pala pwede after 10 years. The PSF will anticipate those changes and make the necessary adjustments in the local planning as well.
So when you say unprogrammed funds, you have $500 million.
Yeah.
If it's unprogrammed, so ibig sabihin, hindi mo siya basta-basta, pwede mo siyang gamitin pag kailangan. Nagamit niyo ba siya for Yolanda, for example?
I think when it comes to technical language of the Department of Budget and Management and the Department of Finance, unprogrammed fund simply means you need to have triggers. No? Kailangang sumobra yung very elusive tax returns ng Philippines for a unprogrammed fund to become a programmed fund within this year. No? When it comes to Yolanda, it is not used in Yolanda at all, simply because it's not a disaster fund. Mm-hmm. It anticipates disasters. Mm-hmm. In times of disasters, we have calamity funds. Mm-hmm. And
so
that's a different fund as well.
Okay. Yeah, so it's basically coping and surviving extreme weather events. So what is it about? What are we supposed to expect or about to expect with this climate change and extreme weather events? And what will your organization do to help curb the effects of that when it does hit the Philippines?
Yeah, apart from trying to secure the 1 billion programmed allocation for next year, we're actually helping local government units and even community organization partners to craft plans, climate change adaptation plans that are inclusive of their already existing local plans. Sabi nga ng Leagues of Municipalities, we already have too many plans. Let's put it in one whole plan that is inclusive of everything else that a truth and honest local executive should consider within his or her constituency. So basically that's it. For Yolanda hit victims, we've been receiving calls. More or less, they're taking this more seriously now. Mm-hmm. Especially in light with Yolanda.
So are you looking at more storm surges?
Yeah.
I think the latest projections is that
drought?
There are many projections, but the most scaring is that we'll be getting less frequency of storms, but the storms will be
less but stronger.
Yeah, less but stronger. And of course, there's a shift in the intertropical convergence zone in 2020.
Anong ibig
What's
sabihin?
What's that mean?
Yeah, exactly the same
We're
thing that I
afraid
said.
already.
Wala mong narinig. Pero the shift will cause changes in the rain frequency, in, most probably in the food baskets here in the Philippines.
So in the Mindanao area,
Yeah,
will they have like
Mindanao,
more
Yeah.
rains?
In Mindanao, I think they'll be getting less rain, and in Luzon, we'll be getting more. So something like that. So,
Okay. But
I
can
think
we
Pag-asa is already working on the actual modeling of the intertropical
So with that,
convergence zone.
since you more or less have that foresight, that may happen, what can we do? Can we do something about it without having to worry about, for example, yung loss of agriculture products? Can like a
actually,
shift of
that's
planting areas?
Yeah, that's the main idea. No? Kasi we really have a lot of options.
Like
Sabado, we can shift planting areas, or we can change the crop choices that we plan in particular seasons. But ultimately, that will be the decision of the government. And I think the senators, especially now, after Yolanda, Senator Recto and Senator Ligarda, they've been working really hard to shift PSF from being a program to a program fund. Sana mahabol pa. We still have time before the bicameral conference for the GAA next year. So we're still hopeful.
How about the local government units? How have they responded so far? Because I understand, apart from the People's Survival Fund, you were also able to craft the entire group, including the Climate Change Commission and other agencies. You crafted the National Action Plan, particularly for mitigating all these risks. Where are we as of now, and how are LGUs responding to this?
Yeah, actually, their local executives are very excited with the idea of having a separate fund apart from their annual allocation. Since it rewards them of doing more for their constituency when it comes to starting climate change initiatives. Actually, they're very interested and responsive when it comes to the People's Survival Fund.
So walang like hindrances of not
No, actually
working towards it.
there are no hindrances. Siguro mas request of guidance on how to operationalize. This fund is very new. It requires new things. It requires imagination within the bureaucracy and kahit sa amin, sa civil society organizations. So tulungan tayo dito. It's a new fund, but I think we can make this work.
Will this fund be utilized and will it be addressing flooding in the city? Since you said one of the that you can already foresee to be happening is maybe more rains in Luzon, which is, there's a lot of, it's with cities in Luzon. So
Actually, it depends on the LGU and the community organization involved, no? And because unlike other funds, the People's Survival Fund requires local actions. Mula sa baba, papunta sa national government. So they will make the proposal. So for example, in Cagayan de Oro, if flooding is a very big thing na it starts a problem of the economy, of social security, human security, and things like that. They can make a proposal for a floodgate, or I don't know, maybe a flood mitigating structure or something. As long as it comes from the local level to the national level, I think with a proper pitch and documentation, the People's Survival Fund can fund it.
How about, for example, the rehabilitation efforts now, especially in the Visayas region after Yolanda? Will ICTS, or will your organization, or those who are involved in climate change programs, will you be a recommendatory body on how to ensure that the rehabilitation efforts will be truly beneficial and will not be a repeat of past problems?
Actually, it's one of the knee-jerk reaction to something like Yolanda that we're trying to avoid. Whole communities are wiped out. So I think it will be very unwise to build a housing program exactly the same in exactly the same place where the flood surges happen. No? I think with the People's Survival Fund and with the National Climate Change Adaptation Plan, I think local executives with the as well as the national expert can finally talk to each other and say, oops, teka lang, don't build there, build somewhere else, because storm surges will happen in the next few decades, and the same thing will happen over and over again. And that's the scenario that the People's Survival Fund is trying to avoid.
Okay, so that's the task of your organization as well. Well, thank you so much, Angelo Kairos Dela Cruz.
Yeah, Angelo
thank you so
Kairos.
much
Thank
of
you.
the Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
this
you.
morning.